Amber Heard's acting coach just exposed her for fake crying during the trial, and this could be the final nail in the coffin to anyone supporting her. Let's get into the details. In pre-recorded testimony, acting coach Christina Sexton said Heard had, quote, difficulty crying acting-wise. Sexton worked with Heard from 2011 to 2017 and said she could tell when Amber Heard was genuinely crying because Amber struggled to produce real tears while acting. In the December 2019 deposition, the acting coach says she saw Amber cry multiple times during their sessions about her volatile relationship with ex Johnny Depp. Apparently, as the couple's relationship progressed and the fighting got heavier, quote, I would have to build in time because she'd be sobbing at the beginning of sessions and we couldn't work until we got her together. Sexton further described their relationship to the court. Apparently, they had more than a professional relationship and became friends over the years. Apparently, Heard even invited her acting coach on birthday trips and vacations. She testified that at the start of Heard and Depp's relationship, she witnessed the couple being, quote, incredibly lovey-dovey and passionate and always together in a positive way. But as time went on, that changed, and she saw Depp and Heard together less, along with hearing them get into arguments while Sexton was there for at-home acting lessons. Sexton added, quote, it went from being like a normal couple to very tension-filled, especially those last few months when they were together. Before her relationship with Depp, Heard was never late for their sessions. However, as time passed and things got worse in their relationship, Sexton claimed she needed to add in cushion time to their sessions because Amber would arrive frazzled or in tears and needed to be calmed down before they could do their acting work. Adding, quote, I would say that last year they were together, probably 80 to 90% of our sessions began with her crying. In her deposition, Sexton said she could tell when Heard's tears were genuine because, quote, ironically she has a little difficulty crying acting-wise. During Amber Heard's testimony, she cried on multiple occasions, or should I say attempted to cry, because most of the time it looked like she made the facial expressions of crying, but the tears did not come out. So many are thinking this testimony from the acting coach proves that Amber has been faking in court, and her strange behavior with crying is due to the fact that Amber is not very good at fake crying. Amber Heard's expert witness, psychiatrist Dr. David Spiegel, is going viral online for his totally bizarre behavior in court. The worst of which is when he admitted that he analyzed Johnny Depp's behavior by watching him act in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And no, I am not kidding. Let's get into it. After Dr. David Spiegel took the stand, many online were consumed with the doctor, who looked more like a villain from a movie rather than someone that should be testifying at a trial this important. Dr. Spiegel took the stand on day 20 of the trial and gave testimony for almost 3 hours. And the conclusion after his testimony was that this man should not be anywhere near a courtroom. Popular writer Asjad Nazir wrote on Twitter that it was, quote, unbelievable how Dr. Spiegel provided a professional evaluation of Depp from his movies alone without having met him. Adding, quote, anyone who has been convicted or lost a court case because of Dr. David Spiegel should use his car crash testimony today to file an appeal. Shocking how uninformed and unprofessional he is. Worst professional witness I have ever seen. Another Twitter user called his testimony an ethics violation. Continuing, quote, Spiegel acknowledges the rule against giving opinions about people they have not evaluated, but does it anyway. This backlash came after the doctor seemed to admit in court that he watched Mr. Depp's movies to judge his character as it pertains to the trial. Although when Depp's lawyers pressed the doctor about this bizarre confession, Dr. Spiegel backtracked, saying that he apologized and, quote, misspoke. Depp's lawyer even jokingly asked, quote, because you know you can't compare pirates to sworn testimony in court, right? To which the doctor replied, yes. During the very sarcastic back and forth, the doctor asked the judge if he needed to answer a question about Willy Wonka, which the judge replied that he had to. Then the doctor responded that he had not watched Willy Wonka. Many videos of Dr. Spiegel's bizarre behavior are going viral online, like one where he's licking his gums and asking the judge if he has to answer a question. Another compilation shows the judge telling the doctor that he must answer the questions several times. One Twitter user wrote, quote, seriously though, why do so many witnesses on the side of Amber Heard feel like effing villains?
Today we are going to be looking at a few of the celebrities who have publicly backed Depp or who have stopped defending Amber Heard. Starting off first, we have the TV host and former friend of Heard's, Amanda de Cadenet. Back in 2020, Amanda publicly spoke about withdrawing her support for Heard after some explosive evidence was revealed in the 2020 UK libel trial. The TV host was initially supposed to be called by The Sun, but in a legal declaration that was filed in June of that year in a separate case, it was revealed that she had quite a change of heart on where her opinions and thoughts stood on the entire ordeal after hearing some of the audio tapes that were released. More specifically, she is talking about the audio tapes where Heard admits to striking Johnny in the jaw, as well as the tapes where she can be heard verbally abusing Depp. Amanda is quoted as saying she was appalled and shocked to hear how Amber was speaking to Johnny. It was later said that Amanda was feeling as though she had been misled in her friendship with Amber, especially when she was there to support her while these alleged disputes between her and Johnny were still ongoing. In the 2020 UK trial, there was even a text exchange between Amanda and Amber that was read out to the court. The exchange came after the alleged interaction in which Amber claims that Johnny threw a phone at her face in May of 2016. The text from Amanda to Amber read, quote, "Sleeping sounds like the best thing. Put some arnica on your face, make sure you have photos of the injuries please, and text them to me or Rocky." Despite this clear support seen in 2016, it appears as of 2020 and the trial, her feelings have definitely changed. The next celebrity we are moving on to is Robert Downey Jr. Of course, as many of us know, Johnny is facing a ban from a lot of studios, especially since he lost the 2020 trial against The Sun. I mean, it definitely is common knowledge considering that is part of the reason this trial is ongoing at all. Johnny is said to have shot Fantastic Beasts 3 for just one day before he was ousted from the project. This is similar to his role of Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. The next movie, which is the 6th installment, is said to be proceeding on without their leading character. Of course, this is detrimental to Johnny and his long career, but it is said there is one celebrity who is working hard to get Johnny another starring role sooner rather than later. It has been reported that Robert Downey Jr. himself has been working to get Johnny Depp brought on the team for the upcoming Sherlock Holmes 3 film. Despite this sort of friendly help at this point in time, it isn't exactly likely that this will happen, even with the support of Downey. Warner Bros. Controls the rights to the Sherlock Holmes films, and they are also in control of the Harry Potter spin-off Fantastic Beasts. Like we mentioned before, they already dropped Depp from that movie, so I can't imagine them signing him on to any others in the near future. This could all change depending on the outcome of the trial, but there's also a chance, even if the trial does end in Johnny's favor, that the studio still might not want to bring him onto the project. At this point in time, only time will tell. The next celebrity is one who was actually brought up during the trial. Initially, this celebrity wasn't scheduled to testify, but we may just end up getting testimonies from her now that the defense has opened up the door to do so. While Amber sat on the stand during trial, she told the jurors that the only time she ever hit Johnny was during an incident in which she claims the pair was fighting over his alleged infidelity. During this fight, Heard claims that she thought Johnny was about to push her sister Whitney down the stairs, which is the reason she claims she hit him at all. She said, quote, "I don't hesitate, I don't wait, I instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs and I swung at him." What Amber was talking about there, or referring to, is the rumor that Johnny had once shoved Kate Moss, who he dated in the 1990s, down a flight of stairs. This mention of Kate might end up blowing up in Amber's face, as this now might mean that Depp's team could call Kate to testify, and her testimony could be, and likely would be, that the incident never happened. A source close to Depp has said that he and the supermodel have remained close friends, which makes people believe she would likely testify on Johnny's behalf. We will have to wait and see if she does end up being called in to testify or not, and if so, we'll wait and see what she has to say. Another former flame of Johnny's who has spoken out in support of the actor is Winona Ryder. The pair dated from 1989 to 1993, almost 20 years before Depp and Heard's marriage. But that didn't stop the star from speaking out back in 2016 when these allegations were just coming to light. In a 2016 interview with Time, she called the idea that Depp would hurt Heard, quote, unimaginable. She said, quote, "I can only speak from my own experience, which was wildly different than what is being said." She went on to say, quote, "I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, I'm not calling anyone a liar, I'm just saying, it's difficult and upsetting for me to wrap my head around it. Look, it was a long time ago, but we were together for 4 years and it was a big relationship for me. Imagine if someone you dated when I was 17 when I met him, was accused of that. It's just shocking. I've never seen him be violent towards a person before." This may have been the first time she spoke about the allegations, but it wasn't the last. Ryder also released a witness statement to the court in 2020 which would detail and confirm that she never experienced any sort of violence or harm in her relationship with Depp. It doesn't appear as if she will be called to testify in this ongoing trial, but it is very clear that her experience and what Amber claims her experience with Depp was are very, very different. For our last celebrity today, we have Heard's co-star in the Aquaman franchise, Jason Momoa. The pair played love interests in the first film and are set to reprise their roles in the upcoming sequel, which is scheduled to be released next year. Because of this working relationship, fans were surprised to notice that Momoa dropped a follow on Depp's Instagram, but this was only after the trial was well underway. It isn't known the exact date or time of when he hit that follow button, but Eagle Eye fans pointed out that prior to the trial, the Aquaman star was not following Depp. This follow didn't come with an unfollow of Amber, however, so people believe that this perhaps may have been to show neutrality in the situation, but people just can't get past the timing of it all. Maybe it was a move curated by his PR team, or maybe it really reflects his true thoughts and feelings on the matter. At the end of the day, there is a huge petition online that has been circulating to have Heard entirely removed from the slated sequel, and if this does end up happening, who knows what Momoa's follows and unfollows will look like.
Amber Heard began her testimony during the defamation trial of Johnny Depp, and in doing so, a lot of people were speculating that she may have stolen some of her testimony from movie quotes. Olivia covered a full top 10 on this if you want to check that one out, just to see all of the different rumored examples, but today we're just going to be focusing on the story of it all. You see, Twitter is convinced that Amber Heard had quoted multiple movies during her testimony. In a Twitter thread posted on May 5th, 2022, the Twitter user claimed that Heard had stolen from film, television, and books for her defense. A Twitter user posted these screenshots of the comparison and said, "If you were watching Amber Heard and felt like some of those lines felt strangely familiar, they are. She's stealing from film and TV and books. Here's a thread of what I've seen so far." And so far, the tweet has been retweeted more than 4,000 times and liked by over 14,000 people. Among the evidence she presented, the Twitter user claimed that the quote from the actress of Drinks Lots of Tea was stolen by Julia Roberts' character in Notting Hill. In another part of her testimony, she said that he'd rather cut off his hand, which she claimed was directly lifted from the drama series Mildred Pierce. Perhaps the one that took off the most though was the screenshot within the thread where the user claimed that Amber's opening monologue in her testimony is the plot of The Talented Mr. Ripley. In that post, another user claims, "Her entire beginning monologue is literally the plot of The Talented Mr. Ripley, actual quotes from the movie, and featured a character who showered gifts that mysteriously disappeared." They then go on to quote and say, "The thing with Johnny, it's like the sun shines on you, and it's glorious, and then he forgets you and it's very, very cold. When you have his attention, you feel like you're the only person in the world. That's why everybody loves him so much." However, according to Snopes.com, who are infamous for debunking things, they are stating that this claim was shared without evidence. In the review, they stated, "The claim that Heard repeated these lines from The Talented Mr. Ripley was presented on social media with no evidence. Those asserting it did not share a video of Heard making the alleged statement, nor did they link to any news articles containing this quote or a transcript from the trial that would substantiate the accusation. The former fact was especially suspicious since video of this trial was publicly available," adding, "Heard did not make an opening statement. The above displayed meme says that the quote came from Heard's opening statement, and this is an odd claim. However, in that it was Heard's lawyer, not Heard herself, who made an opening statement on her behalf." They also provided several video links and timestamps to Amber's time on the stand to back up this claim. She took to the stand on May 4th, but she didn't make any sort of opening statement. When she took the stand, she was asked some basic questions, mainly her name, age, and etc., but she did not provide an elaborate opening statement like these Twitter users are trying to suggest. I'm not saying I'm a fan of Amber, I'm just saying that if we want Depp to win this thing, we can't have it happen by way of false information. When you give into sharing misinformation, you are no better than how Amber defamed Johnny Depp, and as we all know, two wrongs don't make a right. Now that just leaves all of the other countless examples that people pulled up to try and sow doubt over Amber's testimony, but let me tell you something, you don't need to find movie quotes to sow doubt in her testimony. She's doing that all by herself. Again, according to Snopes, the allegedly stolen movie quotes are largely based on brief, cherry-picked moments in which Heard uses generic language that also happens to have turned up in movies. Look, we all want Johnny Depp to win this trial, so when we see things like this movie quote business, we all jump on it. However, you must remember that confirmation bias is very real. And if you don't know what that is, allow me to explain. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, favor, and recall information in a way that confirms or supports one's prior beliefs or values. People display this bias when they select information that supports their views, ignoring contrary information, or when they interpret ambiguous evidence as supporting their existing attitudes. The effect is strongest for desired outcomes, for emotionally charged issues like this one, and for deeply entrenched beliefs. Confirmation bias cannot be eliminated entirely, but it can be managed, for example, by the way of education and training critical thinking skills.
We are currently in the midst of the cross-examination of Amber Heard, and it's getting very spicy. Johnny Depp's lawyer Camille Vasquez is taking all the shots she can at Amber to prove that she is a liar and master manipulator, and one of these shots includes accusing Amber of leaking her divorce to TMZ. During the trial, Heard and Vasquez started talking about Heard and Depp's divorce. When asked about it, Heard said that she tried to keep the information on the divorce as private as possible, but she knew that when she filed the paperwork, media outlets would be able to see the public records. However, Depp's attorney had a different view and accused Amber of telling the paparazzi to be there when she filed for divorce, causing a massive news story for that day. The day that Amber did file for divorce, paparazzi were waiting outside the door to talk to her about what happened, almost as if they knew that she was there to file for divorce from Johnny. Vasquez also played a clip of Heard's previous deposition, where she essentially let it slip that she alerted TMZ. In the clip of the deposition, Heard was stating that she tried to warn Depp of the divorce before she filed so that he wouldn't be caught off guard. And she said, quote, "I didn't want him to find out online that I had or was about to file for divorce. I wanted him to know verbally, so I was trying to reach him through a third party to tell him." Continuing, quote, "I would like him to know that information so that he finds out about the divorce filing from some other source other than TMZ, which was alerted." And then in this deposition, Heard covered her own mouth because she realized she had just exposed herself. Vasquez then pressed her about exposing herself, but of course Heard denied telling TMZ about her divorce before she filed. Vasquez also pressed Heard about potentially giving other evidence to TMZ as well, like the video that leaked of Johnny banging up their kitchen. The kitchen video was leaked the day before Heard filed for divorce, and Vasquez asserts that TMZ now owns this clip because Amber sold it to them. Vasquez also questioned Amber Heard on how TMZ could have possibly gotten a hold of a video that was taken on Amber's cell phone, but Amber continued that she did not give the clip to the news outlet. So Amber Heard was cross-examined for the first time yesterday, and a shocking secret was finally exposed that could land Amber Heard in jail for perjury. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into all the juicy details. While being cross-examined about her $3.5 million ACLU pledge, Heard was finally forced to admit that she did not donate anywhere close to the amount that she pledged she was going to years ago, and now she could be in trouble for lying under oath. After the couple divorced in 2016, Heard said that she would split the $7 million divorce settlement between the Children's Hospital LA and the American Civil Liberties Union, or ACLU, which would be about $3.5 million to each. At the time, she said she didn't want the money, rather she just wanted justice for Johnny's horrible actions towards her. But now that she's admitted to lying, legal experts claim she is in trouble. During her testimony, she stated that she has not donated the money yet because, quote, "Johnny sued me for $50 million in March of 2019. However, Depp's lawyer Camille Vasquez argued that Heard had the money for months before the lawsuit, yet failed to donate the money as she promised. To make matters worse, during the UK libel trial, Amber Heard gave completely different testimony and did not admit to donating the money. Sean Caulfield, partner at law firm Hodge, Jones & Allen, told Mail Online today that Heard could face a perjury probe in the UK as misleading a court, quote, "cuts to the core of our justice system." He also added police could in fact investigate these claims, continuing, quote, "While it may not be a central issue to the case, the donations, perjury is the single biggest threat and cuts to the core of our justice system, so the police may be invited to investigate to show that any member of the public who lies to the court can be prosecuted for perjury." Clearly, in the grand scheme, this lie does little to answer the question of if Johnny Depp ever got physical with Amber, but it clearly helps Depp's side argue that she is a documented liar, and if she lied about the donations, she could lie about a lot more. Legal expert Mark Stevens also said police could blame the lie on not understanding the question asked rather than deliberately not telling the truth, saying, quote, "It's notoriously difficult to bring and prosecute a perjury case. You have to show that someone deliberately told an untruth as opposed to them being confused or misremembering. I think it would be a very difficult thing to do." The mention of donating her divorce settlement first came up when Heard appeared on Dutch talk show RTL Late Night in 2018, where she said, quote, "$7 million in total was donated. I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of LA. I wanted nothing." At the time, she made it clear that she had already donated this divorce money. However, ACLU Chief Operating Officer and General Counsel Terrence Dougherty testified earlier in the case that only $1.3 million has either been donated by Heard or on her behalf, with most of it coming from other sources like Elon Musk. Of that money, Heard contributed $350,000 directly in December of 2018, and she's not paid off any more since. A further $100,000 was paid by Depp, and another $350,000 came from a fund at Fidelity, an investment company assumed to be Elon Musk. Depp's team is stating that Heard is a blatant liar who used the claim of donation to gain sympathy from the public. However, Heard has fired back that she intends to donate the money once Johnny Depp stops suing her. Heard is also no stranger to perjuring herself. She was investigated back in 2015 by the FBI for lying about illegally bringing her dogs into Australia. Heard avoided charges after she publicly apologized and blamed a lack of sleep on why she did not fill the required paperwork.
Thanks to the fact that the state of Virginia live streams its cases, the internet has had the privilege of being privy to all kinds of uncomfortable information about the personal lives of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. We've also been able to view some utterly strange behavior and moments from specifically Amber Heard and her legal team that have caused a bit of a stir on the internet for just being weird. There was a moment during her testimony where she seems to be posing for a photo while crying in court. She is cleaning up her nose with a tissue from crying when we can quickly see her look up and then completely freeze until a flash and a camera shutter sound are heard, and she continues moving. If you watch the clip, it's honestly pretty hard to see it as anything other than a pose. Although I do believe that flash was from the computer screen, as you can see Johnny's face get lit up from his computer screen as well. The shutter sound is pretty unmistakable though. On the topic of crying though, a lot of people on the internet have been attacking the way it seems like Amber Heard is fake crying during her testimony. I gotta say, the crying was at the very least extremely awkward. But Dr. Lillian Glass, who wrote Body Language of Liars, has analyzed Amber Heard's body language during her testimony and compared Heard to a 911 caller who committed a crime. She also made note of Amber's shoulder shrugs and facial expressions and called them deceitful. To quote her, Lillian Glass said, "Seemed contrived, as if she was doing a dramatic scene and was acting over the top." As she gets more and more graphic in her description of what Johnny allegedly did to her in terms of the alleged cavity search, she tries harder and harder to conjure up emotion and tears, but the tears never came. She kept shaking her head. It truly reminded me of a beginning acting student. In essence, her bad acting appeared cringeworthy. That's not what you want to hear when you put $50 million on the line. Lillian also commented on that whole posing for a photo thing, saying, "Had no liquid in her eyes or nose. She never blew her nose, just kept the Kleenex to her nose and kept it there." Yikes. Another moment that stood out was a moment when the court was going for like a 15-minute break. Amber was on the stand, and as she was stepping down, Johnny was heading in her direction in order to leave the court. When Amber noticed him coming, she did like a gasp and took about 3 or 4 steps back, bumping into a camera behind her. Lots of people have pointed this out as an overdramatic reaction, and honestly, yeah, I kinda get that. Number one, you're in a courtroom where he would clearly not do anything to you, even if that was his intention. And two, while she has claimed he has done things to her, she has also openly admitted that she had also hit and assaulted him as well. And three, this is the kind of reaction I have seen from people in high school trying to show how scared they are of someone. I don't know, I think it's some pretty amateur showmanship, but let me know what you think. Now, how could we have this little discussion and not talk about the incredible moment of "my dog stepped on a bee"? Amber was talking about a vicious fight that they had at a trailer park, where Johnny had performed the alleged disturbing cavity search. It was a piece of rather random information. It doesn't really make or not make sense in my opinion, but it is rather hilarious how the internet has taken it and run like a 20-mile marathon with it. Just go on TikTok and you'll see plenty of videos about it, trust me. One moment in the trial that was roasted alive by the internet and really does not make her look good is the little slip up by her lawyer, Adam Nadelhaft. During testimony on Monday, Nadelhaft was questioning Ben King, Johnny's house manager, regarding the 2015 fight between the two in Australia that resulted in Johnny losing just a smidge of his finger. "You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?" Nadelhaft asked. And King responded saying a doctor told him that Depp sustained an injury to one of his fingers, which a panicking Nadelhaft quickly interrupted going, objection, hearsay, so many things happened here. Ben King did a little bit of a look. Judge Penny Azkarat said, "Wait, you asked the question." Next question. Nadal half stammered and everyone in the courtroom did a little giggle, look at each other and giggle moment. And honestly, yeah, that was kind of silly. So near the beginning of the trial, Amber's lawyer Elaine Bredehoff showed the court Milani Cosmetics all-in-one correcting kit, which she said Heard carried through the relationship to cover her bruises. Now, after the fact, the brand itself took to TikTok releasing a video showing that the correcting kit shown at court, the one Amber used during the relationship, actually first released in 2017, which is after the couple had already split up. Look, I don't know if the memeing and use of this trial by the brand for a TikTok video is really ethical or morally okay, but I gotta admit that doesn't look very good, does it? No. It doesn't. I don't know what to think in this case. Honestly, Amber has made some pretty disturbing and alarming claims. Their marriage counselor testified in court this week that there was mutual harm and that both actors suffered from their bad situations growing up. If you ask me, I feel like neither one of them was that great to each other, and it's gotta be pretty upsetting to have it all thrown out onto the internet like that. Hopefully they can both get through this, come to a resolution, and move on with their lives, but that remains to be seen as the trial continues on.